Okay, the first step is we're going to clean our mushrooms. Now remember, mushrooms can be like little sponges and they love to soak up all the liquid that you put with them. So do not wash them in water. So what we're going to do is take a little mushroom brush, and look, it even kind of looks like a mushroom. And what we're going to do is we're going to lightly scrub the mushrooms. And we'll go ahead and get the dirt off. And sometimes you get a stubborn piece, you can try and wipe it off, or we'll just cut that part off with the knife. And go on to another one. Now, some of these are a little darker. They're not a different kind of mushrooms. These happen to be all white button mushrooms. I happened to purchase these just a few days ago, and that's why they're a little dark still, getting old. So we'll just go ahead and do that to all our mushrooms and make sure they're really clean. And then we'll move on to the next step. An alternative to using the mushroom brush is just a paper towel. You can take it and you can just wipe the dirt off this way. So it's much easier, works well even on some of those stubborn spots. And if you don't have the brush, you don't have to buy one. It's perfect. Okay, after we've cleaned our mushrooms, the next step is taking out the stem. They usually pop right out. Now save this, we're going to use that. And some of them are already cut off, so it's hard to pull out. See, they just don't work. So take a little spoon. This one's a little bit smaller than a standard teaspoon. And kind of get behind it and pop it. If you can't get it like that, then try the handle. Try not to damage around the outside, because remember, we want to use these as little cups to stuff. And see, it's okay, that part of it, that's okay. If you do that, the other part comes right out with it. There you go. And then what we're going to do is, we have some little bowls. Look, they're dolphin bowls. They're really cute. So we're going to go ahead and start scooping out the center. We want to get these little gills in here. But again, don't go too far around to where you damage the mushroom. Just be careful, take your time. If you can't get in there really well, again, use the back of the spoon. Again, we're going to dump this in here. Get rid of that. You can use the other end here and scoop inside. And let's dump that. And let's kind of get those gills out. Okay. And again, we're going to save these, so we'll put these in the good bowl. But we're going to actually, where the end was that was open and exposed, gets really dry. And it's really woody, so we're going to go ahead and just cut that. Put this into the garbage bowl and put that into the good bowl. Now we'll go ahead and do this and finish out cleaning them for all the other mushrooms. And we'll be back in just a moment when we finish that. As you can see, I've hollowed out the mushrooms and I left some of the stems. Now this one, unfortunately, I basically destroyed while trying to hollow out, so it's really unstuffable. So I'm going to go ahead and chop that up also. So what we do though is take some of the stems and we're just going to, cut them into smaller pieces and dice them up. There's nothing magical. Whoops, that one kind of got away. Nothing magical about this, just kind of dice them. Be careful, make sure your knife skills keep up, and just get them into little pieces as such. And I'll do the same with the rest of these. So again, these were all the stems. I cut off the woody ends. And then the next item we'll put in there is half a shallot. Now here's one here. It's nice. We'll just go ahead and cut it in half. Get rid of that one. Save that for later. Cut the end off of that one. And then we'll just dice this up. So I like to carefully, be careful here. So sharp knife. I know what I'm doing. Make sure you know how to use it properly. And then we'll go ahead and take nice slices this way. Again, be careful. And whoops, it's kind of coming apart, but take your time. You can see we got nice little dice slices. We'll just throw those in there. Again, we'll chop the bigger pieces up. We'll fish those out. I'm just trying to keep the area clean. Put those all in there. And there you go, you get the idea. I'll finish chopping that up, and then I'll also go ahead and dice this cap up here as it's not usable anymore. And then we'll go ahead and move on to the next step. Okay, we have about a half cup, maybe 3/4 cup of the shallots and the chopped up mushrooms and the stems. And I'm going to go ahead and add just a little bit of garlic, just a mince of clove, or if you have that stuff in a jar, go ahead and add about a teaspoon of it. I like that minced up garlic in a jar. It comes in olive oil. But this one I'm going to use a fresh garlic. I'm just going to go ahead and chop that up, throw that in there, and then we're going to go ahead and go to the stove and start sauteing them. Okay, now we're going to just sweat, not even saute, our mixture. And if you notice, I added the garlic right in here. It was a couple of cloves, so we'll go ahead and dollop a little bit of olive oil in the pan. Give it a moment to heat up. Stir it around just a little bit. Again, we're on like medium to medium low heat. And again, we want to sweat these. We don't want to saute or burn or color them. So we'll just go ahead and put those in. Pardon my hands. Let's get those going. Let those start cooking. Actually, I'm going to turn that down just a little bit more. And then add a little salt. I do have a fancy electric shaker, but don't let that bother you. Use whatever you have. And we'll go ahead and let those sweat for about 5 minutes, and then we'll turn the heat off and let those cool down. Okay, this mixture is done. You can see it's nice and soft. It let out a little liquid as the mushrooms were heating up, and that evaporated again. You could see it's nice and dry. They're soft. They're not burnt, a little brown, but not really darkened. So what we're going to do is the next step. Believe it or not, one of my favorite parts of this is to actually use some stovetop stuffing. This is the chicken flavor. Use any flavor, standard, regular. I like to buy it in this little round jug because you can make different sizes based on the bag. You can go ahead and make what you want. If you get the standard big box, you have to make like the whole thing or half of it, so you don't get much variety. So what we're going to do is go ahead and start working on that stuffing mix, but reality is we're going to go ahead and add this mixture into our water. Do a quick boil with that. Let me go ahead and get this in here, and we'll just go ahead and do that, get this water started, and then after that just cook the stuffing by the instructions on the container. So we're going to go ahead and just put that down. We'll clean that up, let this sit, then let this boil. The heat's still on. Let me turn it up just a little bit, and we'll go ahead and just cook this per, like I said, the instructions, and we'll add the stuffing, let it cool down, and mix all that up, and that's a wonderful stuffing mix for these mushrooms. Now you can use standard croutons that you crush up, or just some breadcrumbs and then flavor them with some herbs and any seasoning you like. But I actually really prefer the stovetop stuffing. It's very tasty, it's very, very easy, it's quite inexpensive, and going back to how easy it is, it's just a dream to make. Basically, you boil the water, add the stuffing mix, let it sit for 5 minutes, and then fluff with a fork, and that's done. And at that point, we'll add our crab, and then go ahead and add our stuffing to our mushrooms. So it's pretty easy, pretty straightforward. So let's go ahead and let this cook up, and this will be an extra flavoring to the stuffing, and just put it way over the top. Okay, now that our water's boiling, what we do is we add our mixture of the breadcrumbs from the stuffing mix, turn the heat off, and stir it real well. And then we'll let this sit a few minutes so it all gets hydrated. And also, we'll let it cool down just a bit before we add the crab. We don't want to shock the crab by putting it into a hot stuffing mix here. So we'll just go ahead and let this cool down. Let it do its thing. We'll cover it up and then let it cool down for a while and take it to the next step. Okay, our stuffing mix has cooled down, so it's not so hot, and I have a can of blue crab. You can use any kind of crab. Fresh crab is better. This is actually claw meat, but you can use lump. I'm going to use about half a can. You can definitely get any of those 6-ounce cans of lump meat and use those, but you know, whatever you got, whatever you can get. So again, I'm going to use about half. Be careful not to crush this up too much. Go ahead and just scoop that out. Using half of this can is quite generous in this. I think actually that's going to be enough. Since this can is cold, it's kind of stiff, I'm going to go ahead and break it up and then mix it up real well with the stuffing, and then we'll stuff our mushrooms. So we'll be right back. Okay, I mixed the crab in. You can see, man, that looking good. But I did a little taste test and I decided it needed just a little pinch of something special. So I have some Old Bay seasoning. Now you can measure out a tablespoon or so, but you know what? I'm just going to sprinkle some in, mix it up, and then we're going to go ahead and add this to our mushrooms. Okay, now we mixed everything together and it tastes really good. So let's bring our tray out and then we'll put our mushrooms on. Now, real quick, I did spray the tray with a little bit of spray. Use any brand you like. I'm not advertising that one, but I just used some spray. So we'll go ahead and place our mushrooms on our tray so they don't stick. And what we're going to do now is stuff them. Now, this spoon is pretty big to fit in there, so let's get rid of that. Let's break out that little spoon we used earlier, and let's go ahead and just start adding some in. Put it in there. Now press it in lightly. Don't overstuff them or they won't really cook well. So let's just go ahead and add some on top. Don't worry about what spills. That'll get good. It'll get crunchy and tasty. And let's add some in. There we go. There we are. I'll put it in and tamp it lightly. Again, we want it solid. We want it full, but we don't want to overpack it. So again, get another little scoop, put some on top. Oh, that is looking good. So let's go ahead and fill up all our mushrooms, and then I'll show you what's next, because that's the best part. Okay, I'm finished stuffing the mushrooms. As you can see, I had some leftover stuffing right here. And what really tastes good is if you take this, put it into a little ball, and put it on a shrimp, and then broil them. That's a nice little treat, and that's a recipe for another day. But now to finish off these mushrooms, I like to top them with a little pepper jack cheese. So I got a slice, and what I like to do is cut it into thirds and thirds again. So each slice makes 9 pieces. And then just simply lay them on top. Put it down just a little bit so it sits fine on there. There you go. Just put those on. They'll be quite tasty. They'll melt in. So let me go ahead and finish these up. Get another slice out and finish the rest of them. And then we're going to throw them in the oven at 400 degrees for about 20 minutes. And we'll see you when that's done. Okay, I just pulled these out of the oven. They're very, very hot. As you can see, they're really good. The cheese melted, brown, got a little caramelization color on it. I'm gonna let them cool off a bit and then we'll taste them. But I know they're gonna be good. I definitely can't wait to dig into these. These crab stuffed mushrooms are really good. I'm gonna dig into these now that we just made them. They're still a little hot. Now remember to like and subscribe. Definitely try this recipe. It is good. Oh, look at that. Mmm. 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 Wow. The pepper jack cheese adds just a hint of heat. The Old Bay, oh, like an old friend. And the mushroom is still soft. It's still very tasty. Mmm. Moist inside. Wow. This really is good. Remember, visit BentoBrocke.com and try this recipe. And thank you for watching. Okay, so I have my mushrooms laid out, and I want to clean them. Now remember, do not wash mushrooms. And I didn't get a microphone, so, oh my gosh. We're going to peel those off. And what we're going to do, they come out. Whoops, that one didn't really come out. And that one exploded. Okay, kill that. Okay, sorry. Okay, we got about a half cup, maybe 3/4 of a cup. It has the chopped up mushroom and the stems and something else. Ugh, come on. Okay, here we have about a half cup, maybe 3/4 of a cup. It has the chopped up mushroom stems and the shallot. Why can't I say that? Let's try this again. Ugh. Whoops, that didn't really work. Hold on. Hey, these not crab cakes. Hold on.